Welcome back to Brinth Lab, where we transform obstacles into opportunities and anxiety into strength. Today I want to talk to you about one of the biggest yet least talked about causes of anxiety: guilt. Few things in life can keep us from making progress quite like guilt. Feelings of remorse can cause depression and anxiety, preventing us from fulfilling our full potential. Guilt, like all negative emotions, is a record of the past. It's so powerful, in fact, that it keeps us locked in the past. It can actually get to the point where those intense feelings of regret prevent us from doing positive things in the future. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of what guilt is. You'll be able to understand when it's gone from being useful to being problematic, and you'll learn practical ways to have a healthy relationship with guilt. What is guilt? See, guilt is so cunning because it doesn't just consume our time and our emotional energy, but also our ability to make right the situation causing the guilt in the first place. Which brings us to our first question. What exactly is guilt? Guilt, very simply, is an emotional response we have to a fault or a perceived fault of our own. It is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a signal to make a correction, a sign that we need to make a change. When guilt becomes problematic. The problem with guilt is that it often lingers long after we've made any necessary positive changes. It ceases to have any utility as far as improvement is concerned, but the emotion remains. It's meant to be temporary, but it can end up being like a medicine we take too much of for too long, and instead of making us better, it actually makes us sick. You can put a cast on to heal a broken bone, but if you leave it on indefinitely, it will hinder growth, create a manipulation, and do damage. So the question becomes, how can we make positive use of our guilt, acknowledge our misdeed, and go forth in a way that will lead to better outcomes once we have learned from our mistakes? How to have a healthy relationship with guilt. Firstly, try to make amends. The first thing we should do to eliminate guilt is search for ways to make amends. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone tries to make things right. It is useful to look at guilt not as a form of self-punishment, but as a call to action. Take time to think about what caused the guilt and what you can do to fix things. Please don't be too hard on yourself. And remember, we're not here to deliver an apology. We're here to try and make up for what we've done. Saying sorry is easy. Making a reparation is difficult. For example, if someone totals your car, an apology isn't going to do you much good. You're going to want the person to take ownership and fix the damage. Gang, please remember, if you give it some serious thought and you determine there isn't anything you can do to make it better, or perhaps doing something could cause further harm, then your means of making amends can be as simple as learning from your mistake and doing everything in your power to ensure it never happens again. Secondly, you need to forgive yourself. Life is messy. People are complicated. Our entire being is based on innumerable experiences that are unique to the individual. The fact of the matter is, not every amends is going to be easy. Some things cannot be fixed.
Can I just stop you right there for a second? When people do this, I don't really know what that means.
The door won't be open for you to try and repair things. But this doesn't mean you have to torture yourself with guilt forever. We are more than our worst mistakes. So forgive yourself after you have taken necessary action. If you can honestly say you've done what you could, then it's time to cast off the chains of guilt and forgive yourself. Life is not meant to be suffered through. It's meant to be filled with love and joy. Thirdly, learn from your mistakes. Let what happened inform your future choices. Try not to make the same mistake twice. If you allow this experience to better you, then it will not have been in vain. Because of it, you, and therefore the world, will have gotten better. Lastly, forgive others. The best way to acquire something is to give it away. If you want forgiveness, give forgiveness. Extend grace to the people around you who are imperfect. Forgiveness is the best way to reverse suffering. It is divine. We have a tendency to be very hard on ourselves and critical of the world. This kind of mindset will create a cycle of resentment and guilt. Remember, forgiveness at its purest level is not ending the condemnation of someone. It's the realization that everyone is flawed, everyone sins, and therefore, you should have never condemned them in the first place. And I say this with so much love. That applies to you too. Whatever you're condemning yourself for, stop. Let's recap. Use guilt as an impetus that sends you down a path of peace. Forgive yourself. You lost sight of the truth and the light, and when that happens, you become blind to the divine purpose of being. It happens to all of us. We all make mistakes. And forgive others. Give grace unto yourself and those around you. And finally, forgiveness isn't acknowledging a debt as paid. It's realizing that a debt was never owed. Here at Brinth Lab, we blend physical fitness, mental health, and spiritual principles to help you overcome anxiety and lead a more fulfilling life. You can think of us like your personal trainers for anxiety. We can connect, we can coach you, and we look forward to getting to know you and walking this path together. Remember, you are the universe, expressing itself as a human for a little while. As always, I am really looking forward to seeing you next time. Stay strong and keep experimenting.